Hello and welcome to the August 5th, 2022 edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. We are a subproject of SIG ContribEx within the Kubernetes project, and we have a code of conduct that we adhere to, which basically says be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. So I have our notes in the doc underneath the table if anyone has any big wins or new items for us to start off with. Otherwise, we'll move into the table. But first, call for updates and big wins.
I think the big wins would be a lot of tweets got out this week regarding the annual contributor survey, and then we had this removal and deprecation blog that is out this week. So we had a tweet on that. So that's also out. Thanks, Krish.
I was wondering where that came from. Excellent work.
No, Deb tagged me, and I was like, well, if Deb was tagging me, it's got to be important. Approve.
Perfect. Yeah. I woke up this morning and that was out, and I was like, I don't even remember seeing that one in the PRs, but I'm glad it went out immediately because it looks like it needed to.
Yeah. Like I reviewed it, obviously, just to make sure like the formatting would not get messed up. But yeah, it was like,
Lovely.
Okay, so if he's tagging me, let's go ahead and look at this and approve. Off you go.
And that was like a release related blog post, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Blog. And two release related tweets this week. The blog and code freeze. And I also, speaking of which, I have a list somewhere here of all of the dates coming up for the release that we need to make tweets about, and I've been meaning to put it into our Slack channel. I tried to ask the person first to make sure they wanted, they were okay with us doing that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure, and then they never responded, so then it was a bad thing.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I think we have Ray to approvers, as well as from com side you have thumbs up. So yeah, you could go ahead there.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's a related update. It's also in the table, but I'll mention it now. I also put out the PR for the social media lead role. So I would like someone else to LGTM that, especially if anyone is particularly interested in taking on that role. Definitely take a look at that. I need to grab the link for it.
I was going to ask that because I've missed that one. So
okay, yeah, it is out there.
When you say miss it, meaning you want to do it?
No, well, then I wouldn't go that far. But I said I missed. I missed. No, I missed the announcement in Slack. But it's not completely outside of the things that I'm interested in. So yeah,
right. You're gonna have support in this role, right? That's very much what it feels like.
Yeah. There's
plenty of us.
Yeah, before we had this leadership council thing, we had a few roles, and the social media type lead thing was one of them. And I attended 2 meetings, and then I was apparently the social media lead, and I was like, what am I doing? I don't understand. But you have help.
No, but yeah, I'm still, honestly, sometimes on these conversations, I'm still on that position of thinking, well, I actually don't know half as much as I should to even consider this stuff.
I still feel that way.
On the other hand, I'm doing things that are obviously related to it. So I don't want to be too shy in taking up things that I could be helpful. So I obviously welcome your own input. So feel free to push me and steer me towards things that you consider to be adequate.
Cool. We could chat later about the things that you want to get out of contributing and all of that stuff, and I can help you from there.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
I'll start by reviewing the markdown stuff, the PR.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna run it through the wordsmithing tools that I use.
Magical. More things that I need to learn.
Well, it's not approved at my office or my work, so Grammarly, all that fun stuff. Yeah,
okay.
It's not like I can't go to that site, but
it's good to have.
I have a computer right there that I can like remote into and then
Yeah.
go to sites and copy pasta stuff. Yeah.
And if you say that you like to use it, then that's a good enough recommendation for me.
I mean, it has like prior to it, I would used to have to like pay people to like review articles before they went out because
Mhm.
I was such a bad proofreader.
Mm-hmm,
So this has kind of fixed that to an extent. So
I've
highly
had that
recommended
happen.
if you, don't mind, like if you use it in the right way, it seems less invasive than if you use it in the way they want you to, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So there are tips here. To
Yeah,
make it
just
particularly
use it through the
useful.
web and that's it. Don't install the extra plugins or anything like that, extensions, etc. Like just use it
Very
in the
nice.
browser and be done.
Cool. So great big win. Thank you, Deba. Good suggestion. Also, there's only one more, I think, of Frederico's tweet PRs still in there about the report from the
Yep.
help wanted section. There's only one of those left because I let one go this morning. I figured I'd maybe let the next one go after this meeting. I try to do them like 9 a.m. or earlier, and then like after 6 for time zone reasons. Which is one reason
Makes
why I
sense.
miss them so often.
And
I need better tools for that.
I'll add 2 more by the end of today, so we'll have
Perfect.
something for next week.
Yeah, and I developed a system this week
It's
that
like-
works a little bit better for me. So,
Nice.
though with the travel, it got kind of interrupted immediately. So there's still more improvement to be made, but
Telling you that GitHub mobile app is crucial.
it is. I have that, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah, like
Great recommendation here. If anyone doesn't have the GitHub mobile app and you could potentially have it and use it, I would recommend.
it's really nice when somebody tags me and it's like, hey, here's your PR. Hey, da 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 da. Now if people were tagging me like all the time, it would be different. But when I do get tagged, it came in. That's how I saw your thing this morning, Deba. So yeah.
Yeah, that is so good. Any other big wins before we move into the table, or any new items that need to be added to the table? Folks are aware of. Nothing in particular on my side either. So I think we will go on ahead and move into the table. There's other stuff as we go through. We'll find it. That is what the table does. So it looks like Hina is out this week. But, the last update on this was that Hina had created our team in GitHub, and we're trying out this approach of adding an at our team into the issue template. The issue with that is that it's possible when someone creates their issue, they could remove that. So then we would not get notified, which is our goal. We had one other solution that we were looking into, and I'm not sure if Hina ended up implementing that one as well. I think our recommendation was to do both and see how it goes. But so there is a status to be checked on there, but there is at least something in place also to fulfill this. Nobody else has any other stuff to add to that, right? I think that's what's going on there. Cool. Next item, Chris's article on squash. We discussed that a bit last week.
Yep.
Frederico.
And it's up to me. So I've changed the article on my computer to include some of the comments there. I do have, however, a strange technical dependency issue because in order for me to preserve the history of the commits that were and the knits that were already applied, I need to fork the existing Chris fork of the contributor side. But I can't do that because I already have a fork of the contributor side that is tied with my own SIG Spotlight storage article, right? So if I delete it and then I need to add something there, I would then have to delete the one from Chris and go
Gotcha.
like this, and this doesn't sound like a great way to spend my time. So
what I would do is take what you got,
Yeah.
create a new branch, and go that direction, right? Like,
yeah,
just treat it as another artifact.
Yeah, the only problem is that I wanted to maintain the
Oh,
the co-authored by, because you already have that because of the comments of Tim and others there. So it would be more elegant to actually keep that, right? I would create a fork of your repository. And then my additions would emerge as a continuation of that. Maybe I can simply delete the fork that I have, because I'm not seeing a lot of movement. Just delete it, create, and then delete it and create again, and just do this, because I'm not seeing a lot of action on the SIG Spotlight one, and I don't think that actually I have to change more things, because everything was already applied. So yeah, I'll go that way. I'll delete it and I will submit it using your fork as a reference.
Sometimes it takes talking it out to figure out a
Exactly.
solution.
There you go.
It's simpler. Yeah.
Sounds like you're on the right path there.
Yeah.
You're going so much deeper into this than I honestly would have.
No, it's because I'm sensitive to the authorship thing because of the other discussion, right? So I imagine it makes sense to keep the history there, even if it ends up being squashed later. It's relevant. So I will go that route. So in the next couple of days, I will I already have the copy on my laptop. So I will just push that using Chris fork as a reference in a new PR that I will reference the original one.
There you go.
And I learned some things about Git from this discussion that I wouldn't have otherwise known. So works well.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose.
Well, it's funny when like you could totally have a fork that like, and then end up merging it in the wrong place sometimes too, because it is a fork. So yeah, like don't forget you might have to change the remote there too.
Exactly.
Right?
That's that thing. I to be honest, I'm old school in that. I just create a new directory and do things from there.
Mine as
and
well.
The directory is called like this is the real PR version 2. It's the equivalent of echo. The code reaches here in debugging. Yeah,
it all works. There's no wrong way to get unless you break it.
And even then, is it wrong or is it just normal?
Who knows, right? Like
that sounds like the average case to me.
Yeah. I think Git is a wonderful tool. Cough. Haha. Laugh.
Cool. So I'll move on from that item. Sounds like a good plan. If you need any help, you know where to find us. Not that I, obviously, as we've established, will be much help, because I'm learning stuff from this. But if you want to tell us more stuff about how this is happening,
absolutely. I will tell the process in the Slack channel at least.
Learning in public.
Yeah, like that's the biggest thing that I think Paris ever taught me, was like not to be afraid of learning in public.
That's what open source is all about.
Yep.
Facing fears. Next item is buffer status. And so Bob Killen, my last update here was, I know that we need to create an account for the CNCF to be able to put their billing information into. I created an account just to kind of look around it a little bit. I was discussing with Chris that there's probably some other account that we need to put into it. Chris suggested an account. And I wanted to check with Bob on if that's the right thing to do. Bob was at DevOps Days Minneapolis this week, and I was at a customer site this week. So I will ask him like today or early next week on that. So that's the status.
That works. I mean, I think I sent you a message. Like I had a task, like I had a specific task relating to this. Let me find it.
Yeah, you sent me a message with a
The contributors? It was contributors.
Yeah, contributors
right?
at Kubernetes.io, which you're thinking is probably the one that it'll need to be under, which makes total sense to me. And I'm thinking so too. But just to check with Bob to make sure. Plus, then I'll have the ping with Bob all ready to be like, this is what I'm going to do. Does that sound right? And then I'll be like, okay, here it is.
There you go.
At least that's the plan. All right. Next two items are both the buffer sub items. So we'll go ahead and skip those for now. Next item. Oh, that's right. Last time I said that I would start sharing my screen for this because that seems like it would be much easier to follow. And for some reason, I never do it, which is super weird. So I'm going to share my screen actually now, part of the way through the list already. All right, we'll share that. We'll zoom in. Cool. Folks can see that?
Hold on a second. There we go.
Nice. Okay, so our next item is the role descriptions. I've already updated on the one that I've been shepherding, which is the social media role. There's a PR out for it. The link was in the chat. It's 676 in the community repo. So I just need an LGTM on that. I guess I need an approval too. I'm not an approver in the community repo. So I'll need to figure that out as well. But other role updates, Avinash?
I'm still to raise a PR for this, unless if somebody has some changes to suggest to this, or maybe then you can, if I raise a PR, then you can suggest in the PR itself.
Yeah, I already made suggestions in yours, I think, so.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
So probably good to go. Cool. Project manager concept for Hina is still in very early stages of brainstorming, and we have lots of stuff to work out with that. So that's kind of where that one is. Atarva approver leader role. Atarva isn't on today, right? I had a discussion with him on Slack about this role. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, he's not on.
Okay. But I suggested that Atarva take point on starting to figure out this role and set it up. I suggested it would be a good exercise for him to understand more about the role since he suggested it, and give him an opportunity to have a fun project with some ownership. So, so I've suggested that he talk with a couple of other folks about the concept to kind of figure it out. So it's in kind of a research and development stage. Contributor site role concept. Looks like we had said, Imran, you were going to look into that along with the help of Chris, probably. Any updates from either of you? Realizing that that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm working on something on the contributor side, understanding the workflow. I'm just exploring it still. There is a bug which I said, it's also one of the item.
Yep.
I'm just figuring out. Yeah.
Like Hugo is part of the thing, right? Like you got to wrap your mind around that CMS, and then you got to wrap your mind around the theme itself, which is Doxy. And actually, I built a doc site this week using Doxy, or last week using Doxy, and built a container to build it on ARM Linux. And like that apparently isn't available by default because of some other dependencies. So be careful there. If you're using a container, for example, to like spin up the site locally kind of deal. But yeah, let me know if you need any help. Like,
yeah, I just checked up the Netlify jobs to see. I mean, I was basically exploring the issue with the publishing date and the job build feature. So just exploring how the workflow looks like and add some understanding. Yeah, but definitely, I think when I fix this issue which we have, I think I probably would have explored how this thing works. So
there's a way to set up Hugo and Doxy and all the dependencies as like, you could just say npm start. Like I have an example from one of the AWS open source projects, and I really liked it from a simplicity perspective. I just don't know the complexity of getting there with Hugo, because Hugo's Go. This is just NPM, and it all just works like magic. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I was going to dig into that a little bit more.
Sounds like it's in a good state. I would also call that kind of in the research development.
Exactly.
phase.
Yeah.
You're just exploring the site, figuring out what it needs, and then you'll start to get a better sense of what the lead role should be, and we can define it from there.
Yeah.
The next item is the tech lead role concept, which we discussed, had a really great discussion on last time. We originally had this concept of like a development lead role where we could recruit someone with better knowledge of the project, which would be really difficult. But the goal was to have someone with like the technical know-how for the pieces that we might need to know about. But we decided that the contributor site role plus the approver role would kind of be two roles that would share responsibilities related to technical tasks that we need to perform. So those two would be kind of both in this tech lead role. So it's like a higher level role that encompasses those two lower level roles, if that makes sense. So that's the plan for that. So we'll establish that once we have the other two. And blogging lead. I'm supposed to write out a draft for this. Nice. That's one thing that I forgot that I needed to update. I thought I did so well this week. I was like, I have like 3 things I need to update. I'm gonna add myself on this to work on that this week. I was also out this week, so it's not like I could have done it anyway.
Right.
But yeah.
That's like the story of my life.
Right. Especially this summer has been
It's been a lot of travel this summer, right?
Far
Like,
more travel than I anticipated.
Was not expecting that.
Some folks have just been nonstop. Sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So that's it for the roles. We can always discuss those anytime. Very important work going on there. Oh, the chat window is here. I should move that over here. Okay. So next item, updating the contributor comms name. This has been going on for entirely too long, it's true, but I checked in with Harshita and Josh on this last week. From their perspective, it was good to go, but that changed this week. So sometimes delaying things has its uses, I guess. One of the PRs needed some changes for the contributor site, I think it's a contributor site related PR for this. So Harshita was working on that as of like yesterday or the day before. So there are changes going on this, and I need to keep track of those before we can actually merge the PRs. Working with Harshita to track. That's right. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to move on from that. Next item, SIG Spotlight posts. Perniswar isn't on, right? So, and Tarva isn't either. So just Frederico. Updates on yours?
It's same as last week. So
Okay.
Essentially, SIG architecture, I've just pinged the co-share again to ask for the status, but it's ongoing in terms of the content in the docs file. And for security, I haven't even started because I haven't got additional feedback, but I'm insisting to see what we. Yeah, but it's paused, I would say. The other one is ongoing, but I will continue to press on both because sometimes these things like stay flat during a couple of weeks and they pick up. So
looks like I don't have the GitHub link for your PR for the
storage one.
Storage one. I should add that into the notes. So if you can find it, I would appreciate. Cool.
Yeah. Also, I think SIG Docs blog post is already out.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
This is why we
Yes.
need buffer.
Yes,
Well,
that
I
is
picked it up
already
from the
out.
RSS feed from the Kubernetes site. So yeah,
It's out.
and then fed it into buffer. But that's a automated process. Anyways.
If we could grab that link too, that would be excellent. Oh wow, there have been a lot of messages while I wasn't paying attention. Okay, there's the SIG storage PR. Grab that.
The only thing that concerns me is that part of the content of the SIG storage spotlight is around the 125 release cycle and what's new, etc. So if it ends up being approved for 6 months from now, obviously it will not make a lot of sense.
But is that for the SIG doc or for the?
No, well, I would assume that all spotlight interviews have a component of what are you doing right now for this release cycle. I know that I have them in my own, and there are a couple of questions there around what's important in 125, what are the major features, etc. Actually, part of it are also present in the mid-cycle feature blog that Comms did. But well, this is just a note. It isn't critical, but it would be interesting to have it released at least within the existing release cycle.
Gotcha. Yeah, one consideration on that is you've seen how long our processes are, so it's not too surprising if something goes out a little bit later, but mainly for end users, it's going to take them a while to adopt the newest release anyway. So from an end user perspective, that's going to be relevant for a considerable amount of time.
You're absolutely right. I was taking like someone. Since I'm involved in the 125, I certainly have a different perspective. But you're absolutely right. Nobody, as the end user, nobody will start rushing towards 125 as in the foreseeable short term.
Yep. So I wouldn't worry about it too terribly much, but up to you, however you want to handle that. I feel like there was something else I was going to add on that. Oh, link to the SIG docs post would be nice to have. I guess I should find it now. Kubernetes blog, it should be very close to the top, so it should be findable. There it is. Beautiful. August 2nd. So while I was out of town, of course. Perfect. So we need to tweet about that. So that is an action for us to take.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to take on writing a tweet about that?
About which one? Sorry.
About the SIG docs blog post that's already out.
Yeah, I can take a stab at it.
Optional for anyone who wants to take it on.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I'll put that on your name.
I'm doing it right now.
Perfect. That is the way to do it.
If I don't, I'm gonna forget.
It's not going to happen. Yep. And I still need to find that list of dates for all of the release things that I saw going on. So I'll make sure to add that in our Slack channel after this if I don't find it before we finish up here. We're moving along a good click though today, so we'll see. So I'll move on from the SIG. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is that it's pretty common for these interviews to take a while, especially since code freeze happened this week. I'm sure that they were kind of underwater for that, so it takes a while sometimes. That's okay. All right, updates to the blogging instructions. Federico, you had a PR out for that. This is the wrong one, isn't it?
And
no, this is the right one.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I actually created a an ACMD file as well, because it's a bit circular, because these instructions are supposed to talk about using ACMD as a preliminary step. But my initial approach was to be very minimal in the changes, just add those specific steps that I found were missing in terms of the instructions, because for someone new, they pointed towards adding directly to the main site and not to the contributor site, so I added there. But in the meantime, I've had comments that are more that have a wider scope. So in terms of really changing the way that the instructions work, what I did in the meantime was to and I didn't update this in the file, but in the PR, but I've shared it in Slack with all those that were involved, was to create an ACMD file to avoid exactly part of the problem that we're trying to explain that we want to avoid in those blogging guidelines. So to avoid having this being reviewed in the using GitHub, and because now it's wider in terms of the scope of changes. So let me paste it to you here. I think, yep. Actually, this is an awful link. Let me wait. I think this is, yeah. This is more readable.
Nice.
Yeah, it's but I think that so I've started to add the comments that I got to that. So maybe we should review the ACMD file until it's on in a level that everyone agrees with, and then I will update the PR with the new commit that reflects the state of our discussion in ACMD.
Okay. So you have a PR out, but some changes were requested. You're looking at kind of broadening the information a little bit, and you're doing that via HackMD because
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Sounds good. And so that's in need of review. Definitely want to post that in the Slack channel as well.
And I did. It's done. So.
Oh, perfect. I've kind of missed things being out this week, so I should add that to my list. Review blog guidelines. And one important thing to note is that this is for our own group's blogging guidelines. It's not like broader or anything like that.
Not the docs team.
It's not the docs team. This is just our own recommendations, because our group, it makes a lot of sense for anything that we do to go up on the contributor side as well, whereas that might not always be the case for stuff going to the
and that was one of the comments there.
Yeah.
What about things that are going on both sides? So in some of them, I'm not obviously the most informed person, because my exposure to how we work is relatively recent.
But you're about to be.
But I'll do my best. So I will try to find the information that is necessary and reflect it there. And by doing it, I will learn how things work. So it's in the end, it will all work out.
That's how we do it. Need-driven learning. Sounds good. So I'll try to remember to take a look at that later today, hopefully, at least before our next meeting. All right, so I'll move on from that. Migration from Kata Coda to Killer Coda, just keeping an eye on this because it's fascinating. Anyone got any updates on that?
Yeah, so I'm working along with GitHub to see how the code spaces thing work. In the bi-weekly meeting, we had a discussion on how we could make this thing work for our, I think, contributor playground, where, people need to come and be part of an org. Actually, there are some permissions that need to be given to merge the PR and play with it. So I think let me first try to run Kubernetes on code spaces, because the free version, it was getting timed out every time I tried. So I have asked them to increase my memory as well as CPU nodes. So let's see how that works.
Okay,
Interesting.
so you're in progress of migrating it and looking into some issues with the playground capability.
Yeah. This code spaces capability, because I think you might have noticed this this week. Someone from GitHub came up and they wanted us to try their GitHub code spaces, which is scheduled to release this November.
Gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I saw it to be a
Interesting.
potential thing, because it's very easy. Someone like you create on the green code button to fork or to clone, you get the code spaces option just beside it. So yeah, it's very beginner friendly there. So yeah.
And you did add that update directly into the doc, so it's already there. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I messaged this thing in the last meeting and left. This meeting, I started to work with GitHub like this week itself.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments there before we move on? All righty. I'm going to move on to the next item, annual report stuff. Federico has been killing it with that. As we said, there's one tweet left as a PR, and you said there's 2 more coming this week.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I think you're the only one actively working on that, so I swapped that there.
But those are quick wins, so no worries for me. It's just
Much appreciated.
No, it's very important. Thanks
Very
for
important.
doing that.
Yeah. All right. And I'll plan to send that last PR right after this meeting I mentioned earlier.
Oh, tweet content length is exceeding the permitted tweet length. Please
Oof.
rephrase. And like I have 4 extra characters.
And you're
to
going with the
spare.
GitHub route?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to push this out if that's okay with y'all. Close this comment. I mean, here's the tweet. I'll just drop it in chat. And if you're good with it.
I've created an Emacs Lisp code to just check the tweets for 180.
Yeah,
so
buffer
it only took me like 6 hours to do so, but but now it's great.
Jeez.
Which one is that one on? Sorry, I got lost on that comment. Is that about the validation?
No, sorry.
Okay.
No, it's about
the Twitter together thing.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It's tough, especially when you
Mhm.
have a link. Links just completely ruin the GitHub workflow.
I know it's tough. Like, unless it's super short, and good luck saying all the things in that tweet that I posted in chat without, like, I've already taken out a lot of the adverbs and things like that. So I've shrunk it down as much as I could.
Process of iteration. Cool. So I'm going to assign this one to myself as well. Actually, why would I do that when I could just bring up Slack and ping Rajula? Rajula's been, and we've talked about this a couple times, he's been swamped with work, so he hasn't been able to work with our group for a bit. But there's some knowledge that he has that we want to make sure is passed on to other folks in the group. So that's something we discussed the last time I chatted with him. And it's something I need to check up with him on. So let me send a quick ping right this second so that it's done.
All right. I'm hitting tweet if no one objects.
No objections.
Okay.
I vote aye.
It's gone.
Okay, I have pinged Rajula, even though it's weird timing for him. All right. So I'll just kind of move on from that. APAC Meet Our Contributors blog. This one's like a rolling thing. Any updates on that, Deba? Yes, no, Avinash is also involved with that.
Yes, recent updates have been code kept, but on the PR side, why it's not getting merged from the contributor side is because they are trying to overhaul the system. How a
Right.
PR it's going to get merged in like
Which is one of our
gates.tech.
later items.
Yeah. So
It
I
sounded
think
like they were just planning to add in like a HackMD or probably preferably Google Docs. I think they were saying step, right? Is that
yes,
there more to it
yes,
than that?
where the edits could be possible and you don't have to really go and squash every PR you want to merge. So I think that's an ongoing process and that's going to take more time because everyone is a bit caught up with code freeze and everything now.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
So current status, I'll put it at the top, is working with blogging process changes. Cool. Oh, one thing, Federico, I haven't reviewed your PR for updates to our blog process, but one thing I just thought of that we might want to add into our blogging recommendations is we were already recommending doing a HackMD or Google Docs as a first round of review. We just need to add in that we need to share that with the blogging team now, at least for now, until they get their new stuff out. I think that's a good practice.
I've added that the part about HackMD and Google Docs is there.
Yeah, but mentioning that we should add in the blogging team to review that specifically, I think is a good thing to call out.
This would be a very good thing to add explicitly because
right.
What does it mean for someone new? So should they just share it in a specific Slack channel? Should they contact someone? So that would be very important to know. Up until now, I've just said that people would coordinate whatever action inside our new Slack channel and take it from there. But maybe something else needs to be done, right? So do review it, and I think that we must add something around that. So
yeah, what I was thinking is I think a few of the blog reviewers at least have joined our channel.
Exactly.
So we could ping them directly in there if we have specific people that we want to ping, but also posting it in the SIG Docs blog subproject channel. That might be actually a better process.
Okay. Yeah, even because from what I got, the idea is to have the editors to actually open the PR. So it means that someone will be identified at an early stage. So someone will have to take ownership of that PR. So it's very important to try to explain to people where should they get that editor, if it's in our channel or if it's in SIG Docs or whatever.
Right. Cool. We can discuss that more on Slack.
Yeah.
As we work it out. And also, since they're still in progress of updating their blogging guidelines, we might want to update it when they finish that too. So we could always go with this and then add that update later. But just a thought. All right. Okay, so good on the APAC Meet Our Contributors blog update. Next item, I know there was the KDev sites. How I always say it, contributor site is what I should say.
Yeah.
And you already mentioned you were working on that, right, Imran?
Yeah. So that's what we are chatting in the Slack. So I'm this week as well. I checked out some flags to see. I think the suggestion what we wrote last time, the Bob within suggestion, may not seem to work because there is no flag which actually says that the Hugo respects the flag and it tries to publish. But there is something else which I need to check. So yeah, I'm just still looking at it and let me see. Seems like Chris had some suggestions, so I'll
yeah, like I've been using
Slack.
Hugo so long, there's not really a question that you couldn't ask me that I probably
I didn't
run into before.
Sorry, I didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
No,
but yeah,
we'll sync up after this. No worries.
Yeah. So I'll directly. I think I'm done with figuring out what's the options in it. So I'll just dump the what's going on in my head in the issue, and then maybe you can write up your view on it.
I think I also saw Pratish join, and I had Pratish's name in here as someone who's interested in learning about this stuff. Is that right? Are you here?
Pratish is not here.
Okay.
Maybe he's the one who is assigning still, probably.
Okay, maybe.
Probably because the assign is in the GitHub issue is someone else. Then
Okay, it could be Pratish.
yeah, could be.
So if you want to work with him, I think he just also wanted to learn about this stuff. So
I see. Okay. Yeah, then we'll. That's what we'll write it in the issue, and then maybe he will catch up on it.
yeah, can always ping in Slack.
Mhm.
Right, next item. Depa, you had a blog out that needed to be reviewed. It had been reviewed. Avinash was also updating on this.
Is I don't remember. Oh, let me also see.
So it's still open.
It's-
Oh, this
it's
is
my-
your Linux Foundation mentorship blog.
Yeah. Cool. I think it also has to wait because until the process has been established, we have to wait.
The last update on it was 23 days ago with Miha
Yes.
saying, let me know when all the reviewers are done and I'll make those changes and do a single commit.
Yes. So I think this has been a long-standing problem. We have to figure it out soon.
Let us know if we can help you. You know where to find us.
Yeah. Sure.
SIG Docs blog subproject process changes. We've discussed that quite a bit already. Anyone want to add anything else in there? I think we've got Frederico's blog update PR in like 3 places in this, this
But
table.
there's actually some movement there, if I'm not mistaken. Can you open that PR again? Sorry.
Oh, can you see it when I open these things? I wasn't sure if I was sharing a tab or a window.
Yes. No, we can. If you go, can you scroll down, please? More, just by the bottom of it completely.
All right.
Okay, no, this is the other one. Sorry, I'm lost between so many squash PRs. This is the one around. Oh, this is the one that is related with the.
This is the one we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, this is the one.
Team, storytelling.
That's the one on the XMD file. Yes, I was talking about the other one, the one that is related with the squash and pro stuff.
The one that you're working with Chris's old blog post on.
Yeah, but there was, if you remember, there was an additional PR that was to mention that on the actual instructions. Let me get that tip for you. This is like an octopus. It has little arms everywhere. Okay. It's 6667. Let me. And it was updated 3 days ago, which is why I'm saying let me just share the link with
you. That is not the right one. Copy paste problems. There we go. Okay.
So this was related with the other one with Chris around the blog article, right? But one of the comments was that this was missing from the actual instructions that we had. So I had to open this one, and 3 days ago it was updated. Okay to test. So
Okay. So is this one in here? Yes, we already have it up here in that one. Okay. Does it make sense to have it in this element of the table though, where we're talking about the SIG docs blog process?
I think this should be, to keep it simpler, this one should be tied with the other one around the.
Okay, it's already there. So
Okay, so I would just delete the line then, because
Okay.
we are just reviewing two things that are very coupled. So
yeah. Okie dokie. Sounds good.
Yep.
Next item is Rashid N. I hear some talking.
It's like it's working.
Oh, try saying something again.
Oh, sorry. Was it audible?
Yes, you weren't at first, but I can hear you a little bit now. You're still kind of garbled, a little hard to hear. But...
Oh, so sorry for that. I don't have my setup proper today. So I was saying that this was supposed to be like a follow-on tweet or content to, I guess, the one that Federico is working on right now. So I think a nice time to put it would be after that tweet or blog is up.
Sounds good. Yeah. And I think this came from, you were saying that you had some experience doing some squashing and you had some experience that you wanted to share there, basically. So sounds good.
So if you try to squash commits just using git rebase, and let's say you have a merge conflict in between, it doesn't. So let's say you take you try to squash the 3 latest commits, and one of them is a merge commit. You suddenly end up with a lot of commits in the editor. So something along that lines. That how would you squash commits if you have a merge commit in between?
Yeah, I think this would be an interesting additional contribution, because we are saying that the other process simplifies not needing to know how to do it, but for example, I do it manually with rebase and amend and stuff like that. So it would be interesting to, as a follow-up, exactly to explain outside of this automated pro and tilde process, how would the contributor do it by hand, so using git commands. So I think this is a very interesting follow-up.
That's a good point. So are you're thinking this wouldn't be added to the existing blog that you're working on, but would be a separate follow-up item? Is that what you're saying?
Can see it, honestly, I can see it either way. But actually, I think that we should keep the focus on the automation separate. So one should be about using the GitHub Actions and the bot and the tilde and pro process. And I see this, but I'm open to a discussion, of course, as a additional article on its own that could say, well, we've seen how to do this through tilde, pro, etc. But now we'll take a look into how to do it using git commands. And I think this by itself would be an article that has enough meat in it to warrant a dedicated blog.
Cool. So you all can chat on that. We are at 9:01, so I want to check on the last item, and we can always come back to that for a second if you all want to chat more. But Avinash, there was one last thing that I want to check on with you. The HINA thing we already discussed, so we can skip that. But security comms guidelines, any updates there? A lot of yours, Avinash, by the way, I saw that you mentioned that you're on a lot of things. A lot of them are just like, what's going on. So we check in with you.
Yeah, exactly. Now whenever I see, I'm like, did I miss something? But that's not the case. About this, I've actually reached out to one of the folks from security asking if there is an update. I have not received any updates yet, so it's
Okay.
still on hold.
Sounds good. So I think that's all the items in our table that we really needed to go over. So we can hang out for just a minute here if we want to have any other discussions, or we can let it go for the day. Looks good. We can discuss in the chat, in the Slack. All right. So we'll let it go. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining in today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye all.
But
Bye.
thank you.
Well, thank you.